So she's actually idling out pretty smooth. We're gonna put some juice in here, keep it from getting hot. We're gonna let her run for a little bit. I also don't know how old the fuel is that's in this thing either. Safe to say it's at least 6 months old, if not more than that. I mean, this fuel could be a year old. I'm sure that's not helping the way it's running. Overflow it to the top and just see if it looks gross coming out. Which it doesn't. This is nicely installed too. So far, so okay. Throw our cap back on here. Jiffy Lube. Was it 95 or 96? Nice. Brake juice is good. Something. Hood's out of alignment there too. Least of my worries, but that stuff drives me nuts. So many fuses. Clearly, that was the main problem with this truck, and that's something I'm gonna have to sort out. But let's see what she does. Parking brake is off. And we're just gonna do a quick lap around. Oh, let me buckle up for safeties. Click it or ticket. Plus, who knows if this thing's gonna fall apart on the drive, so might as well be safe. Let's see if we do that sparkles again. Nope. Probably because whatever had power there has already thrown the fuse, so I could probably look around and see what's not working to figure out what's shorting out. Some process of elimination. Definitely hesitating on Excel. Oh yeah. Way down on power. Shifting, but it's super sluggish. There's got to be a cylinder just doing nothing at all, is my guess. But as cheap as this thing was, I got it figuring if the body was good enough and the interior could clean up enough that it was worth it, I could just put a whole nother reman motor in this thing. But the prices on these are nuts right now, so I'm hoping I can salvage as much of the original stuff as possible. But yeah, I mean, when you get into this thing, it just does nothing. hard to tell if that's transmission or engine. It almost feels like it's slipping, but I think it's running so poorly it may just not know when to shift. And also, like I said, it's probably been sitting for a very long time, so it might just need a little bit of movement, some stuff to be worked out of it. Crank windows, so those work. That's good. Steering wheel is extremely sticky, so it's really swell. Funny thing is, this usually these 302s are pretty stout motors, but my other truck, my 83 F-150 has a 302, and it's got a dead cylinder in it too, so it's a dog, and it feels a lot like this, which makes me think it's probably got a cylinder that's dead. But with this thing being, this one's not carbureted, this is fuel injected, and got a little bit more computerization to it. I'm hoping that might just be as simple as a spark plug that's maybe cracked when he installed it, maybe way out of gap, maybe a wire's bad, because they're not new wires, and sometimes the boots, when you go to pull them, breaks the electrode in there. He may have changed the plugs and then put the boot back on and it was broken and it's barely making contact, or not at all. It's hard to say. But it runs, and it stops, and it moves. So, I mean, the main ingredients are there. The little cable that controls the park indicator is disconnected, so I can just pull it around all willy-nilly. But, alright, so I think the plan from here is going to be to shut her down. Oh, that's weird. The tank went from half empty to full. So that gauge definitely doesn't work. And the battery, the voltage went, oh. So I bet the fuse that runs the dash is what died, because the volt gauge is not working, the temp gauge is not working, the oil pressure gauge is not working. If I jiggle this fuse, I can get the odometer. Oh! So he was right on the loose fuse thing. If you wiggle them, you get the stereo to come on. You get the mileage to pop up, which I'm curious to see what that is. So let's see if we can get a reading on that. That's nice. That just comes right off. We'll put that in the parts pile. Let me push on that fuse again. See if I can get it to light up again. Here we go. Mileage 153,267, which is not terribly high mileage for one of these, honestly. I mean, I've seen them with a whole lot more. But yeah, something's definitely up with these gauges. Something's definitely up with the electrical. That fuse is definitely not making full contact. If I wiggle it around, I can get that to work. Now it's not wanting to come back, which means that fuse may have blown already. Oh, there it is. Smash it just right. So that's easy stuff, though. That's just slathering some aluminum foil on those until I can get another fuse panel. But at least she runs, so she's worth putting some money into. So from here on out, we're going to clean it up. I'm gonna yank all the plugs out. We'll check those, see what the cylinders look like. That should tell us something, and then we'll play it from there. I may go ahead and yank her in the garage so we get some more light on it and start tearing it down. Alright, so for those of you following along at home, a couple things I found after I got her pulled in here. Vacuum lines are a mess. This one, whatever this is, and I'll have to do some research and have you guys look and figure it out. It comes right here off the front of the intake. This is all rotten and just pinched shut. And it's got this little solenoid, I guess, in here. And then it runs, and the other end I found buried back in here, and it's just melted from the exhaust and broken clean off of whatever it was on. But that's a hard plastic line on that end. And my thought is it might come from this box down here, which I think is just a charcoal canister from these old 90s ones. There was just emissions stuff everywhere. And there's a hole in the side of it that's a little hard to see here, but I think maybe it was coming from that. Possibly. So if that's the case, that really could probably just be deleted and plugged off and just put a cap on here, but I'm sure that's probably leaking through that collapsed, deflated, super gunky hose. There, I've got this vacuum line right here coming from this canister. The coffee can is broken here. The other end of it is right down here. And that runs back to the back of the motor somewhere. So I'm sure that's causing it to run a little bit rough, having these vacuum lines busted. There's one. This one's probably not causing anything for the engine to run rough, I wouldn't think, but this comes from the cab and then runs to that little vacuum diaphragm there that I assume is for like the blend door. But obviously that is disconnected. That would have gone up to there. On this side up top, I noticed this one is plugged off at least, but that's a pretty fat vacuum line, so I'm not sure what that would have run to. If this maybe had cruise control or something, maybe it was to a cruise control. Sometimes those are like vacuum diaphragms, but I don't see that in here. It runs off to this side. There's nothing over here. The brake booster is hooked up. That works fine. The vacuum brake system is good. This was disconnected, but this is just a breather that just basically recirculates the unburnt intake gases into the air box. That was disconnected. There's the remnants of what was once a bungee cable. A lot of the plastics and rubber in here is just all rotten. So I need to go through and do a bunch of vacuum lines, and what I'll probably do is just kind of reroute what's necessary, redo it, and then delete some of this old smog stuff. The smog pump is still hooked up on this one. It's actually got the, I'm assuming this must be the intake for it here into this little air box or whatnot. And then it runs down into the pump. The other end of that pump would go, I guess, into the exhaust. It's hard to see in here. I'll have to get some more lights in here to see what's really going on, but you can kind of see the plumbing for it, the pipe running along the back here, and I think that tags in somewhere over near the, probably near the cats. But, I mean, everything's complete in here. Everything's just very original. So she needs some going through. But I think if I can clean up the vacuum lines and get new plugs in it, I think I'm on the right track with the wires. I was kind of pulling around, and like some of these, like this one here, you can see is totally, I mean, when I move this even just a touch, that whole boot moves. The boot should not be moving that freely. I don't think that lead is actually on there right. I mean, these other ones are pretty snug. That's what they should be doing. But this one's just along for the ride, you know. The other side I can't get to. I was going to try and yank all these out tonight, but best laid plans of mice and men. I kind of shot myself in the foot. I drove this around the block for a while. So it's hot as anything now, and I don't really feel like burning the mess out of myself messing with it. So I think for tonight, what we're going to do is just move her back outside and shut her down for the night. I got to put my tools up. I really need to snag that battery back and put it back in the 76. Crazy thing, the crappiest vehicle I have, the 76 F350X U-Haul with a 300 industrial motor in it, is probably, of all of my vehicles, the most dependable. That thing fires up every time, runs great, like a top, and it looks like someone has just beat the brakes off of it its entire life. But keeps on ticking, you know. And my 83, like I said, that 302's got the one dead cylinder in it. I think it's actually valve related. I think I probably have some broken valve springs. I need to take the valve covers off. It sat a long time. I think it probably got a little rusty. Didn't have good oil flow. And then when they got it back up and running, it just busted some of those springs. That's my hope, but I haven't cracked the valve covers off. Then I got this thing, so I got projects galore, and eventually I got to get to them. But I figure making some videos, motivating myself, you guys can help motivate me along the way as well. Hopefully Jason will do some stuff, but that's the plan. This will be a fun little toy. This really I got for Kayla to root around in and have fun with. She's always wanted one of these big body Broncos, and I always thought they were fun too, so I'm looking forward to it. But really I'm fixing this up for her to drive, not so much for me to drive. But I mean, I'll get to use it a little bit, you know. But yeah, so good start, really successful day. Didn't run for at least 6 or 7 months that I know of. Got it running on its own power. I mean, I had it towed here. This is the first drive it's made, first startup it's had in a while. Gave it a little shakedown, and now we can kind of start troubleshooting and sorting our way through it. And what I'll do is I'll break those videos up kind of by, you know, by genre. I'll do an electrical video probably next as I'm sorting through all the fuse box and that thing, testing everything, the arcing in there, the loose fuses, all that's got me a little worried. Before I go too much farther, got to make that safe. I'll do another video once I do some research, and we'll do all the vacuum lines and all that stuff up under the hood. And that'll probably follow with plugs and wires and cap. We'll go over all of that for you guys for funsies. These Broncos are kind of fun projects. They're pretty popular right now, so I figure there may be some other people interested in figuring out what goes where. So I'll be learning along with you on some of it. Some of it I'll be doing some how-tos, and then we'll pretty her up. I'll do a video follow through of doing the outside, cleaning it up, buffing it, knocking some of these dents out. We'll go through the interior. I'm gonna take all of the trim pieces I think out of it, clean them up, and paint them and put them back in. Because here's those side panels I got that need to go in here, and we'll get everything stripped out, cleaned, painted, reinstalled. And like I said, worst case scenario, maybe get into some deeper projects with this. But being it's an EFI truck, being it's all complete, I'd like to just work with what we got, you know. But so that's what I got. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys on the next one.